Most people overestimate what they can do in a week, but they underestimate what they can do in a year. And here's the truth most never hear. It doesn't have to take you a lifetime to get rich. With the right mindset and the right disciplines, you can change the entire course of your life in just 12 months. 12 months of deliberate thinking, daily action, and disciplined living can move you from survival to stability, from stability to success, and from success to significance. The tragedy is not that life is short. The tragedy is that most people waste it thinking small, acting late, and building nothing. The seasons of life are always changing. You can't control the wind, but you can set the sail. You can't decide the length of the year, but you can decide how you will use each day in it. And if you choose to think wealth, act daily, and build success, then 12 months from today, you will not recognize the person you've become. So I want you to listen carefully, because tonight is not about tips and tricks. It is about philosophy. If your philosophy is wrong, everything else will betray you. But if your philosophy is right, the smallest actions will multiply. The difference between the poor and the wealthy is not in their hours, it is in their habits. And here's the question I want you to carry as we begin. If 1 year could rewrite your destiny, what would you dare to do differently starting today? Everything begins with philosophy, not money, not opportunity, not even skill. It all starts with how you think about life, wealth, and responsibility. Because if you don't settle your philosophy, everything else you build will be shaky. You see, money itself is neutral. It doesn't carry character. It simply takes on the shape of the one who holds it. For some, money becomes a cruel master. It dictates where they go, what they do, and even how they feel. For others, money is a faithful servant, quietly working, multiplying, and opening doors of freedom and contribution. The difference is not in the bills or the coins, it's in the philosophy. When I was a young man, I didn't have much, but I had enough to buy candy, enough to spend on things that had no return. And that was the problem. I had no guiding philosophy. I was working hard, but not working smart and not thinking long. One day, my mentor asked me a question that shook me. He said, "Do you run your money, or does your money run you?" I didn't have an answer, and that silence told me everything. From that day forward, I began shaping a wealth philosophy, because without one, you're tossed around by every whim, every expense, every passing desire. So what's the starting point? Sit down and write a 10-year vision. Don't just guess. Put it on paper. What should your income look like in 10 years? Your net worth? Your freedom date, the day you can choose work instead of being chained to it. Get those numbers clear, because a blurry target never gets hit. Next, choose one governing rule for your money. Maybe it's I invest 20% of every dollar. Maybe it's I never spend seed, I only spend harvest. Whatever it is, let it be simple, but let it be sacred. And here's the key. Post it where your eyes meet it every morning and every night. Let your philosophy become your compass, quietly guiding your behavior until it shapes your destiny. Remember this, wages give you a living, but philosophy builds your fortune. If philosophy sets the direction, measurement gives you the map. You cannot change what you refuse to measure, and you cannot improve what you do not track. Most people drift financially not because they lack effort, but because they lack clarity. They don't know where they stand, so they cannot decide where to step next. It's like trying to chart a journey without knowing your starting point. Even the best goals in the world won't help if you have no idea where you're beginning from. I remember in my early days, I thought the problem was lack of money, but my mentor corrected me. He said, no, the problem is lack of order. And he was right. I was earning, but I wasn't accounting. I was spending, but I wasn't tracking. So at the end of the month, the money was gone, and I had nothing to show for it but confusion. The first step to turning it around wasn't to earn more, it was to measure better. So here's what you do. Sit down with paper and pen and make 4 simple lists: assets, debts, income, and expenses. Assets are what you own that put money in your pocket. Debts are what you owe that take money out. Income is what flows in every month, and expenses are what flows out. Then calculate the difference, your net worth. Don't be shocked by the number. It's not a judgment, it's just a report card. Then look at your monthly surplus or deficit. If more is going out than coming in, you know where the fire is burning. Next, track every dollar for 30 days. Don't leave out even the small ones. A candy bar, a cup of coffee, a magazine. Write it all down. Why? Because pennies make dollars, and dollars shape your destiny. After 30 days, patterns will appear. You'll see where money is leaking, where habits are stealing from your future. Finally, put it all on one page, a simple dashboard. Assets, debts, income, expenses. Review it every week. Watch the numbers, just like a farmer watches the field. Because what you measure, you can manage. And remember this, financial success isn't just about how much you make. It's about how much you keep, how much you grow, and how clearly you track the story your money is telling. Money without a plan is like water without a container. It flows away and disappears before you know it. Many people work hard, yet end up broke at the end of every month. Not because they don't earn enough, but because their money has no blueprint, no direction. Complexity is the enemy of execution. The more complicated you make your system, the less likely you are to stick with it. The wealthy understand this, which is why their financial lives often run on very simple, repeatable rules. Simplicity builds discipline, and discipline builds wealth. When I first began learning about money, I was fascinated by how quickly it could vanish. I thought the solution was to earn more. But the truth is, earning more without a plan is like pouring more water into a bucket full of holes. You just lose more, faster. The real answer was to give money a blueprint, a job to do, before it ever arrived. Once I adopted that principle, everything changed. Here's how it works. Imagine dividing every dollar into 4 parts. 70% for living expenses, 10% for investing, 10% for learning, and 10% for giving. That's the 70, 10, 10, 10 rule. It's simple, but powerful. Living takes care of your needs. Investing builds your future. Learning grows your capacity because your mind is your greatest asset. And giving keeps you grounded, generous, and connected to something larger than yourself. Now, some of you may be saying, but I can't start at 70. 10, 10, 10. Things are too tight. Fine. Then start smaller. Maybe it's 80, 10, 5, 5. What matters isn't perfection, it's progress. The goal is to train yourself to march toward the standard over 90 days. Inch by inch, you reallocate, you adjust, and soon the blueprint becomes your second nature. Another key part is planning for the big bills. Most people treat annual expenses like emergencies, car repairs, insurance renewals, holidays, but they're not emergencies, they're predictable. So set up sinking funds, little savings pots for those known expenses. That way, when the bill comes due, you're prepared. It's already covered, no panic, no scramble, no debt. The power of a simple cash blueprint is that it puts you in charge. It transforms money from a master into a servant. Every dollar gets its assignment before it arrives. And when money has a plan, money has a future. Most people have good intentions with their money. They intend to save, they intend to invest, they intend to put something aside for learning or giving. But here's the truth. Intention without automation usually disappears in the busyness of life. That's why paying yourself first is such a critical principle. If you wait until the end of the month to see what's left over, you'll usually find nothing left. Bills, desires, emergencies, real or imagined, will eat it all up. The wealthy understand this and flip the order. They take their share first and let everything else adjust. When I was young, I fell into the trap of paying everyone else first. Rent, groceries, utilities, friends, little luxuries. It all came before me. By the time I looked at saving or investing, the money was gone. Then I learned a principle that changed everything. Treat yourself like the most important creditor in your life. Pay yourself before you pay anyone else. That's not selfish. It's wise stewardship. Because if you don't build your own future, who will? Now, the best way to make this principle stick is automation. Automation beats intention every time. When your paycheck comes in, set it up so that a percentage, 15 to 20%, flows automatically into investments. Another 5 to 10% goes into learning, because knowledge compounds faster than money. And if giving is part of your philosophy, automate that as well. Once it's automatic, you never see it, never touch it, never spend it. It's gone from your control before temptation even has a chance to whisper. And here's a practical adjustment. Start with whatever feels possible, but don't stop there. Every quarter, raise your investment rate by just 1%. It seems small, but those tiny increases compound into massive change over the years. Before long, you're saving and investing at a level you never thought possible. And it doesn't even hurt because you adjusted gradually, not painfully. This practice transforms the relationship between you and money. Instead of money controlling you, you begin to control it. Instead of scrambling to save leftovers, you build the habit of securing your financial future first. It's not what you intend that builds wealth, it's what you automate. And once you set it in motion, you'll discover that the habit of paying yourself first becomes the engine that drives everything else forward. Ignorance is expensive. It's not neutral. It's not harmless. It costs you every single day in ways you don't even see. The bank knows the rules. The tax man knows the rules. The marketplace knows the rules. And if you don't, you're the one paying for it. Wealthy people make sure they're fluent in the language of money. They don't treat it as some mystery. They study it, they learn it, and they apply it. Because if you don't understand how money works, it will always work against you. I remember early in my career, I didn't know the difference between assets and liabilities. I thought if I had a nice car, I was doing well. But the truth was, that car was eating my future. It wasn't making me money. It was taking it away. That's ignorance, and it's costly. Once I learned the basics, the difference between something that feeds me and something that drains me, it was like the lights turned on. From then on, every decision had a new filter. Does this put money in my pocket, or does it take it out? That simple awareness changed everything. Now, here's the key. You can't just read one book and call it done. You've got to make learning a lifestyle. Give it 60 minutes a day. Rotate your focus. Spend a week on personal finance, learning how to budget, track, and plan. Then spend time on investing, stocks, real estate, businesses. Next, move into tax basics, because taxes are one of the largest drains on your wealth if you don't know the rules. Then spend some time on negotiation, because money is often won or lost at the table of conversation. Rotate these subjects, and you'll find your understanding deepening with every pass. And don't just read, apply. Take one lesson each day and put it into action. If you learn a better way to track expenses, start tonight. If you read about negotiating, practice it at the grocery store or with a vendor, Application locks in learning. And here's another principle. Reinvest in yourself. Dedicate 5 to 10% of your income to self-education, books, courses, seminars, mentors, because a single idea, learned and applied, can be worth more than years of labor. The truth is, money doesn't listen to wishes, it listens to wisdom. And wisdom comes from learning the language. When you speak it fluently, you stop being the victim of the game and start playing it on purpose. That's when money becomes a tool in your hands, not a master over your life. Money follows value. It's as simple and as profound as that. If you want more money, don't chase the money, become more valuable. The marketplace doesn't pay you for your need. It pays you for your value. And here's the good news. Value can be built. You don't have to wait 10 years. In 90 days, you can put yourself on a new path by committing to one high-value skill. Think about it this way. 3 months is going to pass whether you grow or not. The question is, when 90 days are gone, will you still be the same person with the same abilities, or will you be someone more valuable? The wealthy understand this secret. They turn time into skill and skill into money. If you commit to building one marketable skill, sales, writing, copywriting, public speaking, negotiation, analytics, you open a door that never closes, because once you own a skill, nobody can take it away. Now, here's the strategy. First, choose one skill that the marketplace rewards. Not 5, not 3, just one. Narrow your focus. Then dedicate 60 minutes a day to study and practice, not scrolling, not wishing, but structured, intentional learning. Read the best books, watch the best lectures, take notes, and then practice. Because learning without practice is entertainment. Practice is what makes skill stick. Every week, create something, what I call a weekly output. If you're learning writing, write an article. If it's sales, make a certain number of calls. If it's speaking, record a talk. Don't hide it. Share it. Get feedback and improve. Feedback is the gold mine of growth. It may sting, but it saves you years. By day 60, aim to monetize. That doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're good enough to charge something, even if it's small. Sell a product, offer a service, take a gig. The act of monetizing shifts your mindset from practice to performance. And by day 90, you'll be far ahead of where you started. You'll have a skill that pays you back for the time you invested. I used to say, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. 90 days of focused effort makes you better. And when you're better, you don't have to chase opportunity. Opportunity starts chasing you. That's how you turn a season of learning into a lifetime of earning. One of the most dangerous positions to be in is having only one stream of income. That's not a plan, that's a gamble. If that one stream dries up, you're left exposed. Wealthy people know this. One stream makes you vulnerable, but 2 streams start building security, and more than that begins building freedom. When you rely on only one income, your options are limited, your decisions are pressured, and your peace of mind is fragile. But when you create a second stream, even a small one, you start to breathe easier, you gain flexibility, and more importantly, you gain momentum. Think of it like a river. A single river may run dry in a season of drought, but if there are 2, the chances of complete dryness shrink dramatically. And wealth isn't built on chance, it's built on preparation. So the call here is simple. In the next 30 days, start a second stream. Not in theory, not in planning, but in action. Now, how do you do it? First, pick a lane. It doesn't need to be complex. Maybe it's a freelance service you can offer, a skill you already have, packaged and sold. Maybe it's a digital product you can create once and sell again and again. Maybe it's buying dividend-paying stocks where your money goes to work producing income without your direct labor. Or maybe it's a simple rental, like a small property, a room, or even equipment that people pay to use. The lane matters less than the discipline of starting. Then define your niche, or what I like to call your buy box. If it's services, know exactly what problem you solve and for whom. If it's investing, set your rules so you don't wander into speculation. Clarity saves you from confusion. Finally, launch something, what we call a minimum viable offer, within 30 days. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it won't be perfect. But perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. Sell one service, post one product, open one account. The act of launching creates confidence, and confidence builds capacity. I started small myself, a little project on the side. It wasn't much, but it proved something powerful. I wasn't limited to one stream. And once you know that, you'll never think the same way again. Because if you can start a second, you can start a third, and then the streams flow together into rivers of wealth. One stream is risk, two is stability. Three or more, that's freedom. So in the next 30 days, don't just think about it, don't just dream about it, start it. Because the sooner you plant the seed, the sooner the harvest begins. If you want to see the quiet miracle of money, you must learn the discipline of consistent investing. Wealth is not an event, it is a process. It is not built by chance windfalls or one-time jackpots. It is built brick by brick, seed by seed, month by month. And the great principle that governs this process is compounding. Compounding is money, earning money, and then that money earning more money. But compounding has two requirements: time and consistency. Break either one, and the miracle weakens. Honor both, and the miracle becomes inevitable. Most people misunderstand this. They wait for the big money moment, the perfect investment, or the extra surplus they think will finally appear. But let me tell you, the wealthy don't wait. They set up a system. They decide every month, without fail, I will plant. Some months they feel like it, some months they don't. Some months the market is smiling, some months it looks like it's frowning. But they keep planting because compounding doesn't reward emotion, it rewards consistency. A practical way is dollar cost averaging. That means you invest the same amount at regular intervals, whether the market is high or low. Over time, it balances out the highs and lows, and the result is growth. Broad index funds, for example, have served many well because they represent a slice of the whole economy. When the economy grows, so does your wealth. Dividends, those little checks that come your way, are not for spending. They are for reinvesting. Put them back into the soil, and soon the crop multiplies. I remember when I first began to see the power of this. At the start, the numbers looked so small, almost discouraging. But after a few years, the graph didn't rise, it curved. That curve is the magic of compounding, and it belongs only to those who are patient enough to keep showing up. The key is obedience to your plan, not to your feelings, not to the daily headlines, not to the chatter of people who panic at every turn. Obedience to the plan. Set the rule. On this date, this amount goes here. Automate it if you must. Remove the need for decision, because discipline works best when it doesn't need to wrestle with impulse every time. Think of it like planting an orchard. You don't plant one apple tree and demand fruit tomorrow. You plant steadily, season after season, and then one day you have not one apple, but an orchard feeding you and your family year after year. That's what consistent investing does. The question is not whether compounding works. The question is whether you will work it long enough. If you do, time becomes your ally, and the miracle becomes yours. If there is one principle that separates those who struggle to make ends meet from those who move steadily toward financial freedom, it is this: acquire assets that earn while you sleep. Wages pay bills, assets pay for life. I've seen countless people work tirelessly, hour after hour, year after year, and still wonder why the balance never grows. The answer is simple. Labor alone has a ceiling, but assets have no limit. A small rental property, a dividend-paying stock, even a vending machine in the right location. These are not get-rich-quick schemes. They are small seeds of financial independence that, when nurtured, grow into forests. The first step is clarity. Define the criteria for what makes an asset worth your attention. What returns are acceptable? What risk level can you tolerate? How much effort will it take to manage? Without this clarity, you are not investing, you are gambling. Once you have your criteria, start small. Many people hesitate because they want the perfect asset or the big score. But wealth is rarely won in a single strike. It is accumulated through deliberate, consistent steps. Buy a small rental, invest in a basket of dividend stocks, or even start a small automated business that generates passive income. Observe it, learn from it, and reinvest the profits. Tracking is essential. Know your cash-on-cash returns. Understand what works and what doesn't. The wealthy don't just acquire assets, they optimize them. They pay attention to the numbers and scale what produces, discard or improve what doesn't. This is how you transform a single asset into a portfolio into financial freedom, and freedom into options for life. I recall when I first began acquiring cash-flowing assets. It was modest, a few small dividend stocks, a tiny rental. Yet even then, the knowledge that money could work while I slept changed my mindset. I no longer equated effort with wealth. I began thinking like an owner, not just a worker. The lesson is profound. Assets multiply your time and energy. Wages stop when you stop working. Assets keep producing. Each new income-generating asset increases your freedom, giving you choices that labor alone cannot provide. Freedom accelerates when bills are paid automatically by investments, not by your hours. So start small, measure carefully, and scale intelligently. The journey to wealth is paved not by luck, but by assets that work for you long after your workday ends. Acquire your first cash-flowing asset today, and let it begin the compounding of freedom. If there is one truth I've observed in the lives of those who consistently build wealth, it is this: systems and leverage turn effort into exponential results. Most people work tirelessly, trading hours for dollars, and yet their income grows only as fast as their energy allows. The wealthy, however, understand that your time is finite, but your influence can be multiplied through systems. When you learn to systemize, you are no longer bound to the limitations of your personal labor. You create structures that produce results even when you are not physically present. The first step is documentation. Every task you perform repeatedly should have a clear, standard operating procedure. SOP. Write it down, map it out, and refine it. This is not busy work. It is the blueprint for leverage. By defining exactly how things are done, you enable others, or even technology, to replicate success reliably. For example, consider a small business owner who documents how to process a customer order. Once the procedure is clear, an employee can handle it, freeing the owner to focus on growth opportunities instead of daily minutiae. Next comes automation. Tools exist for nearly every repetitive task: email follow-ups, bookkeeping, reporting, even scheduling. Leverage them. The wealthy do not get bogged down by what machines or systems can handle more efficiently. Automation transforms your energy from reactive work into strategic creation. Delegation is equally crucial. Identify low-value activities consuming your time, tasks that anyone else could handle without diminishing quality, and pass them on. Your most valuable hours must be reserved for high-leverage activities: designing new products, closing strategic deals, or learning skills that multiply your influence. Remember, 1 hour of your creative, high-value time can create far more impact than 10 hours spent on routine tasks. I recall when I first applied these principles in my own life. I began documenting routine processes, automating what I could, and hiring help for administrative tasks. Suddenly, my output multiplied. I wasn't working harder, I was working smarter. My hours became scarce, resources devoted exclusively to value creation, and my income reflected that shift. Systems and leverage are the engines that transform modest effort into wealth. Without them, you remain a laborer in your own life. With them, you become a multiplier, capable of creating results far beyond the limits of your time. Start today. Document one process. Automate one repetitive task. Delegate one responsibility. Multiply yourself and let your systems work for you long after your own hours end. Taxes are an inevitable part of life, but they don't have to be a silent drain on your wealth. In fact, they can be optimized and leveraged just like any other part of your financial strategy. Most people overlook this and end up giving away far more than necessary simply because they never approach their finances like an owner would. The wealthy, on the other hand, treat taxes as a controllable expense, not a surprise bill at the end of the year. They understand that every dollar retained is a dollar that can be invested, compounded, and grown into more wealth. The first step is to use every tax-advantaged account available to you. Whether it's a retirement account, an education fund, or specific business structures, these vehicles allow money to grow without being eaten away by taxes. It's not just about deferring taxes. It's about allowing your money to compound uninterrupted. If you're saving $1,000 a month in a taxable account versus a tax-advantaged account, the difference over decades is massive. Compound interest works best when it isn't being siphoned off unnecessarily. Tracking legitimate deductions is equally important. Expenses that qualify as deductions or credits should be identified and recorded diligently throughout the year, not just at tax time. This practice keeps you organized, ensures you're compliant, and reduces the effective cost of running your business or earning income. Keep detailed records, categorize your expenses, and review them regularly to ensure no opportunity is missed. Separating business and personal finances is another principle many overlook. Mixing accounts creates confusion, increases the risk of mistakes, and can lead to unnecessary taxes. Treat each entity separately. Track income and expenses meticulously, and make sure all transactions are documented. When it's time to file, clarity and organization allow you to claim everything you are entitled to without fear of audit complication. Finally, schedule a mid-year tax review. Don't wait until the last quarter or tax season. Evaluate your earnings, projections, and potential liabilities. Adjust contributions to tax-advantaged accounts, plan deductions, and make strategic decisions that reduce your taxable income. The wealthy don't wait for tax time. They manage taxes proactively. I remember when I first applied these principles in my own life. By reviewing my finances mid-year, tracking deductions, and separating accounts, I retained thousands more dollars to invest. That money didn't sit idle. It compounded, generating more income than many earn in a year. Taxes aren't an obstacle. They're an opportunity to think like an owner, retain more, and accelerate wealth. Start now. Organize, track, separate, and review. Keep more of your earnings and let those dollars work for you. Wealth is built not only by seizing opportunities, but also by protecting what you already have. One misstep, one unforeseen event, can undo years of careful planning if you fail to guard against the downside. The wealthy understand this principle deeply. They don't take reckless risks with what cannot be replaced. They know that building a fortune is a combination of offense and defense, and protecting your assets is the defensive part that ensures all your efforts don't go to waste. The first step in protecting the downside is insurance. Health, life, disability, and property insurance are not expenses, they are safeguards. Consider them like the hull of a ship. You wouldn't sail stormy seas without a sturdy vessel, and you shouldn't navigate life without a protective framework. The wealthy don't gamble with these essentials. They evaluate coverage, ensure it's adequate, and update it regularly to match their growing assets and responsibilities. Fraud prevention and security measures are another critical layer. Monitor accounts, set up alerts, and guard against identity theft. A single breach can cost not just money, but time, reputation, and peace of mind. Wealth is fragile when left unprotected. By proactively setting up safeguards, you prevent small problems from becoming catastrophic losses. Backups extend beyond digital files. Important documents, contracts, and personal records should be stored securely, both digitally and physically. This ensures that in the event of fire, theft, or loss, your life's work is not erased. Similarly, legal protections like wills, trusts, and correct beneficiaries ensure your wealth continues to work for you and your family, even when you cannot be there to manage it yourself. The principle is simple. Risk what you can afford to lose, but protect what you cannot replace. I've seen too many people neglect this and pay dearly. When I first began to implement these protective measures, I realized that the peace of mind alone allowed me to take calculated risks without fear. My investments grew more aggressively, my focus sharpened, and I slept better at night. Start today. Review insurance coverage, set up fraud alerts, back up vital documents, and ensure your estate basics are in order. Protect the downside, and your ship will weather storms, allowing your wealth to grow uninterrupted. Your mind is the captain of your financial ship, and your habits are the sails. Without vigilance, lifestyle creep, the subtle increase in spending as income rises, will quietly erode every gain you work so hard to achieve. I've watched it countless times. People earn more, yet feel no freer because their desires expand faster than their earnings. Wealth is not determined by income alone, it's determined by what you keep and how you think about money. The first step is to set a clear standard of living cap. Decide what your lifestyle will be until your financial freedom date, and stick to it. Treat raises, bonuses, and windfalls as opportunities to accelerate wealth, not to inflate your consumption. This isn't about denial, it's about discipline. Every dollar saved and invested is a soldier in your financial army, building a fortress of freedom that can't be breached by fleeting temptations. Next, create friction for impulse spending. Don't allow convenience to dictate consumption. Leave credit cards at home, unsubscribe from tempting marketing emails, and introduce a 48-hour waiting rule for discretionary purchases. This friction slows the mindless flow of money and ensures your spending aligns with your long-term vision rather than short-term desire. Equally important is replacing consumption time with creation time. Time spent scrolling, watching, or shopping could be redirected toward activities that build wealth. Studying, investing, learning new skills, or creating assets. I've found that when I shifted even 1 hour a day from consumption to creation, the compounding effect over months and years was staggering. Habits, after all, are the silent architects of our financial future. Guarding the mind is not just about cutting expenses, it's about reshaping identity. When you think like someone building wealth, you act like someone building wealth. Your decisions, your priorities, your very attention shift toward creation, preservation, and growth. Begin today by writing down your lifestyle cap, introducing friction for impulsive spending, and dedicating 1 more hour each day to creation. Guard your mind, and your wealth will follow with consistency, discipline, and the quiet power of compound action. Wealth rarely travels alone. It moves through networks, relationships, and the people you choose to surround yourself with. I've learned that the right connection can accelerate your journey by years, sometimes decades, because opportunities rarely appear in isolation. They travel along the pathways of human relationships. Networking with intention isn't about collecting business cards or attending events aimlessly. It's about consciously placing yourself in environments where value, growth, and success are the standard. The first principle is to add 1 mentor or high-value peer each week. Seek individuals who have achieved what you aspire to achieve. Study their habits and understand their mindset. Approach them with a mindset of giving rather than taking. Offer value first. Perhaps help solve a problem. Introduce them to someone useful. Or share a resource. When you give without expectation, doors open naturally, and trust is built over time. Next, cultivate smart questions. Observing and learning passively accomplishes little. Engaging actively with curiosity accelerates growth. Ask questions that reveal insight into strategies, pitfalls, and perspectives that only experience can teach. A simple, "How did you overcome this challenge?" can yield knowledge that textbooks never capture. Hosting a monthly value circle amplifies the effect. Gather a small group of peers or mentees where knowledge, accountability, and problem solving circulate freely. Here, you both give and receive value. Opportunities often come from discussions and collaborations you never anticipated. The circle becomes a microcosm of the larger marketplace, a place where ideas convert into action, and action converts into wealth. Remember, access shortens decades to years. The right network exposes you to deals, knowledge, and opportunities that cannot be found alone. Wealth multiplies when your circle consists of individuals who think bigger, act smarter, and hold higher standards. Start small. Identify 1 mentor or peer this week. Engage meaningfully and consistently expand your circle. Your network is a multiplier. Use it intentionally and watch how doors open faster than you imagined possible. Opportunities are people-driven. Connect wisely. Running the 12-month play is not a magic trick. It's a disciplined roadmap that turns hope into results. Too many people approach wealth with a vague desire, hoping something good will happen. Wealth doesn't grow on hope. It grows on consistent, intentional action. That's why a calendar, a plan, and a step-by-step execution schedule matters more than talent, luck, or timing. Month 1 is about measurement and preparation. Track every dollar, build a budget, automate your savings and investments, and start a $1,000 emergency fund. Without knowing where you are, every next move is a guess, and guessing rarely builds wealth. Month 2 is about removing high-cost friction, kill the highest APR debt, and commit to a daily money hour, a focused block to manage finances, learn, and plan. Month 3, invest in yourself with a skill sprint. Choose one marketable skill, study, practice, and deliver paid work. Proof that effort can generate income. Month 4 brings action. Launch a second income stream, whether freelance work, a product, or dividend investments. Month 5, expand your safety net to 2 months of expenses and take bold steps to increase earnings. Ask for a raise. Seek new clients. Month 6 focuses on protection. Review taxes, update beneficiaries, and systemize your income stream with SOPs so it's repeatable and scalable. By month 7, acquire your first cash-flowing asset, however small. Let it start working while you continue to learn and build. Month 8, raise your investment rate by 1% and implement a lifestyle cap, sacrificing temporary comfort for long-term growth. Month 9, invest in relationships. Start a networking project. Mentor someone. Exchange value intentionally. Month 10 expands your safety net to 3 to 6 months and optimizes insurance. Month 11, rebalance portfolios, scale the most productive income stream, and track results. Finally, month 12 is a full review. Analyze what worked, what didn't, and set bigger targets for the next year. This 12-month play is not glamorous. It's simple, disciplined, and consistent. Simple disciplines, practice daily, compound over time, money multiplies, skills compound, and character grows. Start today, follow the calendar, and let the natural law of compounding do the heavy lifting. Wealth becomes inevitable when your actions align with your vision. As we draw this journey to a close, I want you to pause and reflect on what we've discussed today. Wealth is not an accident, nor is it a result of luck. It is the natural outcome of clear vision, daily discipline, and consistent action. All the money in the world cannot replace a mind that lacks clarity or the habits that produce results. The fundamental truth is that your life will never exceed the level of your personal development. The choices you make every single day, the small disciplines you follow, the mindset you adopt, they compound just as surely as money compounds in an investment account. You've learned that thinking like the wealthy is not about chasing dollars. It's about adopting principles that multiply wealth over time. Wealth begins in your mind long before it manifests in your bank account. When you choose to invest in yourself, to respect every dollar, to create systems, and to consistently execute your plan, you begin to align with the laws of prosperity. You see, the marketplace rewards value, consistency, and preparation. Those who act without plan often drift. Those who act with discipline and intention build empires. Now, it's time for action. Start where you are. Write down your financial vision, your income goals, your net worth target, and your contribution goals. Track every dollar, not just to see what you spend, but to understand where you can redirect resources into creation, growth, and investment. Begin paying yourself first, even if it is just a small percentage. Commit to daily learning, daily improvement, and daily habits that multiply over time. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It rarely comes. Act today. Start small, start consistent, and let compounding do the heavy lifting.